And welcome to the Milo Beasley Show. Episode number, what is this? 61. Wow, we're all the way up to 61 now. And our guest this week is the Creative Director of Madden. Please welcome Rex Dickson to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, no problem. So let's just jump right out to it real quick, because I know a lot of folks want to hear what's new in Madden. I know we have a bunch of cool receiving animations and such, and of course draft champions. Can you let the folks watching know exactly what you're doing here with Madden 16? What they should really be on the lookout for?
The big space this year is in the Be the Playmaker theme. The wide receiver DB interactions, the new catching mechanics, the new quarterback mechanics really revolutionized that whole aspect of the game. One of the ways we've done that is we've gone from a system that was one button to catch to now 3 different mechanics to catch. And those all have risk-reward elements in it. So it's created a much deeper game, a more strategic game under the hood. I think one of the better things out of that has been the multiplayer catch interactions. That we've spent 2 years investing in this technology to allow a receiver and a defender to enter a synchronized animation when the ball's in the air. And our animators went crazy and added like 400 plus new multiplayer catch interactions. And then you got the whole quarterback AI stuff, which is another big theme this year, much more competitive game by the CPU AI. And it all adds up to this whole really nice package that kind of revolutionizes the way you play the ball in the air. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the thing I'm most proud of this year is our physics organic gang tackles. Full momentum, speed, weight involved. Actually 2 systems working in concert. One is a physics-based, IK-based attached system in fall. It's all organic. And that's complemented by another system which allows for 3 or more guys in an interaction. So that's how we get moving gang tackles, where you have defenders clearing the ball carrier still chugging his legs. And those 2 things can transition back and forth between each other. I really feel like that's revolutionized defense and just makes tackling look much, much better than it's ever been.
Right, because that's been something that some folks have criticized in the past, is especially when new Gen 4 came out and there was the engine that we used there, that some of them look kind of silly.
Yeah, they did. Key lesson learned there is that doing physics in football is hard. When you have 11 guys running around at full speed and crashing into each other, bringing some order to that chaos has been a tall order. So, you do physics in Madden 13, and it's like, yeah, we finally got physics in. Is it great? Not exactly.
Right.
So you spend the next year polishing and the next year polishing.
Although it did make for some entertaining YouTube videos.
Yes, we've got some interesting platfalls and guys being field goal punted and all kinds of interesting things. But luckily, those days are behind us. The physics system is now mature, and we were actually able to build new systems on top of it that are kind of the best in class that we've ever done in terms of tackles.
Awesome. And then Draft Champions, of course, new mode that's coming in. Similar to, it's as if Hearthstone and Ultimate Team had a baby, so to speak, right?
Yes. Draft Champions is a really unique approach in terms of it's targeting a few different things. The first thing it's targeting is fantasy football. And the most compelling thing about fantasy football is the draft.
Fantasy football.
So we implemented basically a fantasy football style draft. And where the Hearthstone thing comes in is a 3-card, 15-round draft. So you never actually know fully what team and what the chemistry is going to be until you're done. And that's a really compelling aspect of the mode. But the part of it that I'm most happy about is we built it with the intent of being a 3 to 4 hour experience. So it's something that myself, as a guy who works and has kids, needs to spend some time with my wife when I get home. I really only have 3 or 4 hours to game every night. I can actually start this up, do a draft, play 3 games, and be done in a single sitting. And then I can just refresh and do the whole thing again. So I don't feel like I have to invest 180 hours to finish the thing. And I think that's a really compelling aspect of it for me as well. And they got all other kinds of things in there, like they have Adam Schefter who's doing your draft analysis as you play. There's all these custom stadiums in Draft Champions, like fantasy stadiums you've never seen before. So a lot of really cool components surrounding it. The presentation is kind of unique from other games. It's a really cool mode, very successful.
So it's more than just a roster update, as everyone seems to. That's the key phrase every year, right? It's just a roster update. It's just a roster update. What would you say to somebody who says it's just a roster update. Someone who hasn't maybe bought the game since 2007, 2008, and just refuses to buy it because they don't really understand.
It would make sense to me that somebody who was playing the game back in 08 or 09 or 010 might say that. Because I think, the previous regime, maybe in the Gen 3 era, there was a lot of that feeling of that roster update, or maybe we just went big on one big feature like ProTac and didn't service the rest of the game. But in my opinion, since Cam Weber has been here, since like the 12-13 cycle forward, everything's been foundational pieces. Physics is one example of that. We put it in and then we build on it and build on it. This year, there's no way anyone could say roster update because we've completely revolutionized passing and quarterback AI and tackling. I think last year, the way defense was so overhauled, I don't think too many people thought it was a roster update because they're like, wow, defense is really fun to play now. We never had that before. So I really think that those roster update criticisms are from people that haven't played the game in the last 4 years.
And I agree. And so there was I want to touch on this real quick. There was an interview you did at E3 this year. And one of the questions was, why does Madden suck? And your answer was, we're the number 2 best-selling game in North America. Look at the buys. It doesn't suck. Did you catch any backlash for that answer?
So I think the only backlash there would be some people who said, well, of course you sold 6 million units. You have the exclusive license.
Right.
As if the license would automatically equal 6 million people buying your game every year. So we all know that that's kind of ridiculous. The game actually has to be good to get that many people to buy it. But what I would point to is actually, if you just take sales and throw it out, and look at the quality improvement, an 8-point Metacritic swing year over year between Madden 25 and Madden 15. That's significant. That's the biggest move that we've seen in EA Sports since when FIFA was making its run at a 90 from where it was in the 70s. You could look at the sales side, you could look at the quality side, you could look at the profit side, but any side of it you look at, last year's game was unbelievably successful. Like one of the breakout years for the franchise. Across any metric that you want to judge it on, and I think we're just going to continue that trend in 16.
Right, and there's some folks who say, you're scared of somebody else having the license, and you flat out come out and said, 2K, bring it. Like, those are your words, bring it. So maybe we will see something like that. Joe Montana's bringing his game to the handheld, to the PC. Do you think that there would ever possibly, within the next couple of years, see a competition with EA, with Electronic Arts?
I would love to see some competition just because I get sick of people complaining about how there's no choice.
Right.
And, this dev team and even these people in charge have nothing to do with that exclusive agreement. What a lot of people don't realize is that decision is entirely up to the NFL, what they do with their license and who they give it out to. But I kind of reject the assumption that you need a license to make a football game. Anyone could go out there and make a football game. Somebody could go out there, and somebody works on Blood Bowl right now. Somebody could go out there and rebirth TV sports football or super high impact football.
Right.
Or maybe you just make your own unlicensed, create your own team form thing.
Right, look at some of the teams in movies such as The Replacements.
Exactly.
With the LA Sharks. Sharks I guess would be a bad example because of Tiburon, but teams such as that. So go out there and make your own game.
And I'll make another case
and
here.
Bring it.
People might say, well, how could you, FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer have the market cornered on soccer and blah, blah, blah. And then Rocket League comes out. And you realize, well, you don't need an awesome license to make a really cool game based on soccer.
Right.
And it's not true soccer, but there's millions of people that are having fun with that game, and that game's making a lot of money. So I just... To assume you need a license to make a fun, successful football game, to me, is kind of ridiculous.
Right. Is there anything that you would like to see, any sort of feature or anything added to Madden over the next year or two that you would want to see, that you've been advocating for, that you would really love to be able to see?
Yeah, I think the community knows me pretty well at this point, and they know that a lot of what I get excited about is true, authentic football. So one of the things that we're missing is true gap play and run fits and force defenders. And I might be talking over some of your audience that who are not big on football, but if you understand core football and how a defense works as a unit, this is a critical piece for us to get in order to deliver authentic outcomes. And there's a lot of systems like that. I don't know how many big like back-of-box epics I have left, but now it's getting down to a lot of nitty-gritty details about just getting things right.
The core gameplay.
Exactly.
Getting stuff right so that way people,
the game in motion is a priority for me. Getting the animations to look right, getting the abrupt turns and strange direction changes solved. I mean, there's just a lot of work there that still needs to get done. We got to do special teams. It's been kind of untouched for a few years. Haven't really done my pass on that since I've been here, so I want to get after that. I know we have big dreams about doing weather in the future, dynamic weather conditions, mud, blizzards, hurricanes, all kinds of cool stuff. It's just a question of like what the priorities are. But you're going to see some big things coming out of this in the next couple of years.
That's very cool. I mean, you've played ball. We have a lot of guys here who've played ball, so I think that helps the game. And as you said, you want to see some of the little intricacies, fixed or better, I should say. I think that adds definitely to the realism, to make it a real lifelike game. So one thing that we do here on the Milo Beasley Show, we do a top 5.
Okay.
Random questions. So this week I'm going to ask you top 5 football movies.
Okay. Number 1, The Program. Easily my favorite of all time. I played college football, so that movie came out when I was a player.
That movie got a bad rap.
I know. I still love it. Something movie. About it. Fantastic. It's all hyped up, and Latimer's like my favorite character in a football movie of all time. Number 2, let's see. Maybe Any Given Sunday for number 2. Let's see. Number 3, the original Unnecessary Roughness with Burt Reynolds.
Mr. Burt Reynolds.
Number 4, Wildcats with Goldie Hawn.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see, do I have a number 5? I guess I have to go for number 5. I'd have to go with Rudy. Just for sheer nostalgia. Right, yeah. It's, now, Rudy was offsides, don't get me wrong. But it's still a great movie, so let's pick Rudy at number 5.
I mean, I was hoping you were going to go with Little Giants. Rick Moran.
Not so much, no.
Well, thanks for showing up today and talking to us. Is there anything, any last things you'd like to say? Where can folks, if they want to find you on the social media or Madden as a whole on the social media, where can we find you?
Well, I'm not on Twitter for obvious reasons because I don't want to get the vitriol and venom from all those Madden gamers who aren't satisfied. The social media, obviously Madden on Facebook, and the one big thing is that Madden comes out on August 25th on all platforms.
All platforms. All right, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you guys next week.